Hey, what's good, guys? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Arizona road trip vlog, mini doc, short film. I don't even know what you want to call it. I don't know what to title it. I thought it was more of a documentary. Anyways, that's irrelevant. Got the homies back there, so it's going to be super raw. I probably won't cut this at all. In this video, I want to specifically talk about the inspiration for the project. I want to talk about the gear we used. I want to talk about the assets that I used, as well as show you guys how I color graded some of my favorite clips from the project. So let's just get into it. First thing we're gonna talk about is the inspiration. Now, I got the inspiration from Catfish. As weird as it sounds, Catfish, the show where they talk about catching fake people who try to date people online. Yes. So Catfish right now is doing this quarantine thing, and they do Zoom calls to kind of do the interviews with the people. I thought it was really cool. And then while we were also out there in Arizona, I didn't film anything of anybody. I went out there with very minimal planning, so I really didn't know what I was going to be doing. I just knew that I wanted to capture as much as possible and put it together in a story type documentary feel vibe. So that's my inspiration for it. So Zoom call, inspired by Catfish. I got the homies on and we was just basically talking about the trip. You know, we had a lot of good insights, a lot of good conversations, and I just took out the most, I guess, the most important portions of that kind of made it into a story that was meaningful. You know, I took out a lot of the parts we were talking about, the gear that we were going to be choosing for the project, because I thought it would be insightful to you guys. I'm sure a lot of y'all go out and y'all film stuff and y'all have no idea what to take and what to film. So I thought that would be insightful. So that's the inspiration behind it. Let's just dive straight into the gear we use. So when it comes to gear for this project, we used too many different things. We had Canon EOS Rs, we had a Canon 6D Mark II, we had a Canon 1DX Mark III, we had GoPros, we had drones, we had a Mavic 2 Pro, we had a Mavic, what is it, a Mavic Air 2? Yeah. Mavic Air 2, we had a Mavic Mini? Yeah. We had so many different things, yo, and that was like one of my biggest struggles with this project in particular, because I had to match all of this footage to make it look like a cohesive piece. So I had to go through and color down all this different footage. Some of it shot in log, some of it shot in standard and neutral, and then the drones got so many different color profiles. And then we got GoPros, and we got Pro Tune on that, and then some of them is super wide, so I got to de-warp the footage to make it look linear. It's just like, that was one of my biggest struggles when it came to editing down this project. The story was easy, it was easy to place the footage, but when it got time to matching it and making it look like a cohesive piece, that's when it became very difficult for me. So it took me a long time to, match the colors and do all the stuff that needed to be done to get this stuff done. Not to mention, we also had cell phone footage in here as well, which I'll talk about a little bit once we get to the assets in this video. But while we're there, let's just talk about the assets. So it wasn't too many different assets I used in this video. I'm sure a lot of you picked up on, let me turn this audio down. I'm sure a lot of you picked up on like the vintage vibe that I had going for this video. And oddly enough, my bad. All right, we're talking about assets. All right, so in the assets, I know a lot of y'all picked up on the vintage vibe that we had going in this video. Ironically enough, a lot of this vintage footage that I'm showing you in the video actually came from a cell phone, came from an Android app. I don't know, I'll ask Angel if I can find a name to it. I'll put it down in the description. Use Android, you can check that out. You have a cool vintage app for your phone too, for iOS. What is it called?
Yeah, it's called Dad's Cam. Yes.
Dad's?
D-A-double-Z.
D-A-double-Z, not like Dad Cam. They should have named it Dad Cam. That would have been doper. Dad's Cam, D-A-Z-Z. So yeah, that gave us a lot of the vintage vibes in the video. But for the other shots where we had actual like DSLR footage, I actually did this on my own by using a plugin that I actually got from another creator, Christian Matt Grab. It's like a vintage video filter. It allows you to adjust the frame rates on the footage to get it below 24 frames per second, because in Final Cut Pro 10, the only frame rates that you can do, I think the lowest you can do is like 15 frames per second, or maybe even 20. I don't know. It doesn't allow you to adjust the frame rates, that's basically what I'm saying. And this plugin allows you to adjust the frame rate to whatever you want. So I adjusted these down to 18 frames per second. It gives it that little stutter effect. It doesn't make it look like it's extra smooth like 24 frames per second. I applied that with the age film look, the age film effect in Final Cut Pro 10, which gives me scratches, It gives you dust on top of the lens. It gives you a little bit of color shift, and it gives you a little bit of jitter. And that really helps sell the effect as well. But the final thing that really helps sell the effect is the overlays. So this is like an old 35mm film overlay that you can get from Storyblocks. Ironically, the sponsor of today's video, Storyblocks. This video is sponsored by Storyblocks. Now, if you guys have no idea what Storyblocks is, it's an online database of high quality stock assets. They actually have over 1 million, which is crazy to even think about. That includes high quality stock footage, After Effects templates, and motion backgrounds. And I even use Final Cut Pro 10, and they have really good templates for me as well. So I thought that was really cool. Anyways, what's so good about Storyblocks? Well, the biggest thing in my personal opinion is if you sign up for an unlimited plan, you can get unlimited downloads on all of these assets. Think about it, 1 million different assets that you can download as long as you sign up for an unlimited plan, which is even crazy to think about. The second thing is all of these assets are completely royalty free. So whether you're doing a feature film, a short film, a YouTube video, you never have to even think about a copyright strike. They're all royalty free assets. Now Storyblocks is actually coming really clutch for the Arizona project that I'm breaking down right now. Throughout the project, you may have seen a ton of different clips that simulate the film look. I actually got these assets off of Storyblocks. Just downloaded them, throw them right on top of my clip, and switched the blending mode to screen, and that really helped me sell the film look throughout that project. So I've been using Storyblocks for a while. It's coming in clutch for projects like this. If you're interested in getting high quality stock footage in your projects as well, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description for you guys to check out Storyblocks. Check it out, man. Unlimited downloads, royalty free. You really can't beat it. The next thing that I want to talk about that is, I guess you can consider an asset as well, is like the sound design and like the sound effects that I got for the video. The background music, the sound effects, everything that I got from this particular video are from SoundStripe. SoundStripe has really dope effects and sound effects. That's basically what I'm saying. And the songs are cool too. But if I just play through, it's a bunch of different ones I used. Sound design is weird because sometimes you can't find a sound that you need, so then you have to manipulate other sounds to make it sound like something that's actually happening in the video. So it's a lot of that. This is like my breakdown over here of how I kind of categorized a lot of the different things in the video. So the S stands for selects. I basically just went through all of the footage in the video, selected out my favorite parts from each single sequence that we had on our trip. And then I did the same thing with sound effects as well. So just a bunch of different sound effects. I got all that stuff from SoundStripe. I jumped it in the timeline, adjusted it accordingly, reducing a little bit of the decibels to make sure the sound isn't too loud or it's not too overpowering, or you can still hear our voice in the shot. Sound design is really all about balancing. So I got all the sound effects from SoundStripe. And I think that that's all the assets that I used, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think I have any other assets in here, like any other effects, anything like that. So let's just dive straight into the color, man. I got a separate timeline set up right here with some of my favorite shots from the video. And I'm gonna just color these live so y'all can kind of get a gist of my mindset and what I was thinking when it came time for me to color down the project. And you'll know how to do it if you wanna, do some stuff like that. So these are my 3 clips that I enjoyed for the project. I just wanna show you them. They're from 3 totally different scenarios. This is like late sunset. This is like middle of the day, and this is like dusk going into like sunset. But it's no sun in there, so it's kind of like a cool vibe. Anyways, we're gonna color this clip first. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag on a Color Finale Pro preset onto the clip. You don't have to use Color Finale if you're using Final Cut. You can just use the built-in color effects. If you use a Premiere, you could just use the built-in color effects. It's just what I use, just my personal preference. The process will basically be the same regardless of what editing program or coloring software you're using. So we get this in. The first thing I like to do when it comes to color grading is just go straight into my curves. Gives me an insight to the overall vibe that I'm gonna be picking apart and choosing for a clip. Keep in mind, this clip right here is not logged. This is shot in neutral on the 1DX Mark II with I think the contrast probably taken all the way out. So it looks a little flat, but it's not log flat. So with that in mind, if I just look at my scopes, I can see that we've got a good range of tones here already, but I'm gonna drop this down a little bit lower because I want this to have a darker vibe. For me, this is like a close to sundown feel. And I'm gonna reflect that with the color I choose to add to. So with this curve, I'm gonna just pull this all the way down something like that. And then I'm gonna add another point right here to kind of bring some of these highlights back in, give us a little bit of contrast. I don't want to go super up, maybe like right there. I'll probably even bring this down a little bit lower. Got our tones right. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in 6 vectors because I want to adjust the colors that are already in the clip before I go and add any colors to the clip. So I already know off rip I want to go for a cooler vibe with this. So the predominant color in this clip is green. So I'm gonna go to the greens and I'm gonna adjust the hue of these. I'm gonna shift these more towards the cool tone so we don't gotta do that afterwards. Shift these to like a cooler tone. I'm gonna also drop some of the saturation out of these. That's the before and after for that. I'm gonna go to my teals, see if we got any teals in here. Yeah, we got some teals right there. Shift these more towards that way. Take some of the saturation out, drop some of the luminosity down. See what kind of blues we got in here already. Okay, we got a lot of blues. Shift these towards teal, drop the saturation out a little bit. And we already adding a mood. So that's before, that's after. One thing I wanna do is kind of enhance the skin tone a little bit. It doesn't look bad, but it looks kind of magenta-y to me personally. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add another color finale effect to this clip. And I'm gonna do a color mask specifically to this clip because I only wanna select this skin. I only wanna edit this skin. So add the color mask and we just gonna key out the skin, click and drag. And then from there, I'll adjust this accordingly to get this key in right. And just from me selecting this key, I can already see that its skin tone is off because it shows me the color that I selected. So that you can see right here that this is towards a magenta. You can see right there, like just off the color I selected right there.
I want to watch this too.
Yeah, you can see his skin is a magenta. So I'm gonna work on this key real quick and try to get this clean. I think I need to open this up a little bit. I need to get those shadows, those highlights. I mean, what is this color right here? I need to add that color. Whatever that color is, we're gonna figure it out. We need that color right there though. Gotta figure out how to get that. Nah, we don't wanna go that. Let's go right there. Take the shadows out, shift that more that way. There we go. Opening up that color now. Then pull back the shadows a little bit. That color right there is still being stubborn. What is that? Let's open it up a little bit more. I don't want to open this key all the way up though because it's gonna select all the other stuff. So I'm gonna leave that be right now for the time being. If I need to go back and adjust that, I'll do it. So we got a good key on the skin tone right there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this file up for color finale, and then I'm gonna adjust the layer. So what I'm gonna do is, before I even do that, I'm gonna add a mask because I just wanna select the skin tone and see what that's looking like. So I'm gonna go to mask, do draw mask, and then I'm gonna just select this little portion right here, this forehead. So crazy. I'm gonna go to my vector scope. I can see that that's leaning more towards the red side. So then I'm gonna go back into that color finale. Go to edit layers, open the color wheels, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just add some warmth into this mid-tone area to get us more back towards where we should be. I'm gonna open this mask to see where we at. That looks good. Before, after, you can see it looks super like purple. That brings it more back towards a warmer tone. And then we can add more too if we wanna like super enhance the skin. I don't think that looks bad right there. It actually looks fine. And yeah, before, after, we got a skin tone right. All right, so skin tone looks better. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push some cools into the shadows because that's just the overall vibe that I like personally. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add another color finale to this clip. Actually, I'm just gonna copy and paste the one we just had. And I'm gonna tell you why I do that. So I'm gonna copy this and then I'm gonna paste it. The reason that I'm copying and pasting the one we already have is because I've already got his skin tone keyed out, so I don't have to do that again. So after I paste that one, I'm gonna go to the one I just pasted and I'm gonna invert the mask this time. So I'm gonna invert it. So basically with the invert, it's just gonna select everything but his skin tone. So I'm gonna reset all of these parameters right here. And then to add the coolness into the shadows, all I gotta do is go to my shadows right here and just drop those down. And then we can see right there, boom, we got our cools into the shots. I think that looks dope. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go back to my curve, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more darkness into this clip because I think the darkness would add to it. And
so
then,
crazy, huh?
boom, I think that looks straight, if I'm being completely honest. I think that looks very similar to the shot that I got in the project. I would probably go through and adjust this a million different times, but for the time being, in the sake of this tutorial, that's pretty much how I got the color grade on that shot. All right, so let's just color grade this shot with me. Same process, I'm gonna add Color Finale Pro, open my layers, I'm gonna go to my curve because I like to adjust my curve first. Bring my my scope back up. I like to adjust shadows first. I think that looks straight. Bring in my black point close to 0, not to 0. And then from here, add a little bit here, not too much. Bring my shadows down more.
Is that highlights?
This is shadows over here, this is highlights over here. So if I want to go brighter, I'll go all the way up like that. But I think that looks good. I'm gonna add in the color wheels, and I'm gonna boost the highlights here. I'm gonna drag my color wheels under my curve so we keep that original contrast curve. So then I'm gonna boost my highlights right here. Go back into my curve, drop my shadows down more.
Yo, you're so good.
That looks good. That looks good for me. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in a 6 vectors layer so I can adjust the colors that are already here. So we got a little bit of blue. So I'm gonna drop the luminosity down a little bit on these teals. Shift these more towards the teal side. Go to my blue, shift that more towards the teal side. And then I'm gonna drop out the saturation a little bit because I don't want it too popping. Next thing I'm gonna try to adjust is, see, I can't really adjust the reds too much because you can see it's like right there on my skin tone. Let's see what we can do with these yellows. Can't really do too much with those either. I mean, for the most part, that looks good. It's just my overall base. I think my skin tone looks fine in this shot too, if I'm being completely honest. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add those cool vibes to the shadows for the shot. So to do that, I'm gonna add in another Color Finale Pro. Go down, we're gonna add a color mask. Select my skin tone right here, drag that out, and then we can adjust this key, get it a little bit better, because that key right there looks total garbage. And with this particular shot, I'm not too worried about me also selecting the other brown tones in the shot because, you know, if I'm being completely honest, they are the same color as my skin tone. So basically what I'm trying to get is I'm trying to get a clean key on my skin. So I'm gonna drag this red out a little bit. I'll pull this highlights back like that. Pull this back a little bit too. Keep my skin tone straight. And I'm gonna fade that out so it's not like super prominent right there. I'm gonna try to pull this in a little bit too. Keep that sky safe. Keep that sky safe. Keep that in a little bit more. I kind of want that street out of the shot though, if I'm being completely honest with you. How can I take this? I'm gonna take that street out a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it like that. We'll adjust it if we need to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna invert the mask because I want to select the other areas. Take my view mask off, and then I'm gonna open my layers, go to my color wheels, and just drop some of these blues into the shadows. Drop some of these blues into the shadows. I'm gonna drop some of these blues into the midtones with this particular shot too, just because we got a lot of area. I think that this blue right here on my shirt is a little too popping, so I'm gonna add a 6 vectors to that, drop that out a little bit, drop the saturation out of that. And I think that looks straight right there. That looks good. I would probably go a little bit darker, so I'm gonna go back to my curves and I'm gonna drop those joints down. Like let's pop the shot, make this joint pop. Super contrasty, super saturated. And I think that looks good right there. So if I show you a before and after for that, boom, before, after, that looks straight. That's like primetime sunset right there. So I'm gonna edit this shot right here, color this one. This is middle of the day right here. But it's gonna be the exact same process. So I'm gonna drop my Color Finale Pro in, my bad. Go to my edit layers, gonna drop in the curves, get straight to our shadows first. Drop them joints down like that. I think that looks straight. Adjust our black point, get our blacks like close to black. That looks good. Drop this down a little bit more. Then I'm gonna bring my highlights back in. Like that. Before or after. I think that looks straight to me. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in the color wheels just to adjust this high point a little bit. Jump up a little bit. Then I'm gonna drop this down. Like right there. All right, that looks good. Probably drop my midtones down a little bit too. All right, that looks good. Now the first thing I'm noticing right now in the shot is his skin tone is too popping. But before I even do that, I'm gonna adjust the clips in it, the colors in it. So I'm gonna drop my 6 vectors on, and I'm just gonna adjust all the colors in the shot. So we got a little bit of blue in here. Let's shift that to the teal side. Drop the saturation out just a little bit. Got a little bit of teal there. Do the same thing with that. That's predominantly the colors in here. So first thing I wanna do is I wanna drop some of the saturation out of the skin tone because it's too popping. So I'm gonna add in Hsl Curves. I'm gonna go to Hue versus Saturation. I'm just gonna select this skin tone right here in this hand. And I just wanna drop the saturation out just a little bit. It's too popping. I think that looks good right there. And the skin tone already looks good. It's straight out of camera. The one benefit of having a Canon camera, the skin tone already looks fine. So from that, I just wanna add in the coolness to the shadow. So I'm gonna drop in another Color Finale Pro. And for this one, I'm going to do the same thing, add a color mask. I'm gonna select this skin tone right here in this hand, drag that out. And then we're gonna adjust this key to get this to look good on the skin. Take those highlights way up, drop those shadows down just a tad bit. Open our red up just a little bit. And that key looks fine right there. So then I'm gonna go to my edit layers. I'm gonna add in another color wheels, and I'm just gonna drop that blue straight into the shadows like that. My bad, I forgot to invert my mask. Invert the mask, and then boom, there we go. So after we inverted the mask, you see we drop those shadows down to the cool side. We can even do the same with this blue right here. I think that blue looks a little too popping, if I'm being completely honest. Drop that in a little bit, and then I'm gonna go to my 6 vectors. I'm gonna drop out the saturation of those blues just a little bit. So this is before the cool tones, after the cool tones. And that's pretty much it. That's the gist of the color grade. That's the gist of my color grading process and just my overall thought process when it came to coloring down the project. So hopefully this was insightful to you. If you have any other questions regarding the project, make sure to drop those down below. If you guys enjoy edit breakdowns like this, make sure to let me know down in the comments as well. And if you have any way I can improve these breakdowns as well, you can let me know that too. This is kind of like my first take at it. So if you want me to go more detailed in certain areas and aspects with my next one, make sure to let me know down in the comments. But that's the end of the video, man. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop it a like, comment, also subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'm out, guys. Peace.